I literally just pushed record.
Well, now you can start over.
Nope, you're in it.
Oh, God. Hi and all. Hi.
Now you've done it.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. So I have made the purchase of the final 2 reels that I needed to complete my DAIWA set. And they're kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum. The first one is this monster. This is a Tatula 300. This is what I'm going to use for my big stuff, my Alabama rigs, my glide baits on my Fury 795. The 300 is what's recommended. It's brand new. I've used it. I spooled it up with some big game 25-pound mono, and I threw it around, and all Daiwas have this same MO. They are dry from Jump Street. So we're going to open this boy up. We're going to put a little grease on it, a little oil where it's needed, and go from there. On the opposite side of the spectrum, the other rod that I did not have a Daiwa on was my jerkbait rod. This is a Daiwa Tatula 100. So we got a 300 and a 100, and you can tell the difference there. The 300 is massive in comparison, but for big baits, for little light baits. And then the third reel, which I don't even know, this is a reel that I've used all year that just, you can hear it. It just doesn't feel right. And so we're going to open that one up and see what the heck's going on. It sounds like something's not quite right. So we're going to open that guy up and we're going to see what's going on. Things you're going to need. This is, again, an Amazon special. It's got a bazillion little different bait or different points for what is in essence eyeglass screwdriver. There's also a tweezers in here. I use those 2 things frequently. And there's also these little doodads, which I use if needed, but hopefully not. So this little screwdriver kit, I've been cleaning my own reels and lubing my own reels and doing other guys. I did Brandon's last year, and there'll be a in-depth video on that this winter when I take all of them apart. But for now, new reels, take them up, take them apart, add a little grease, add a little lube, and it's gonna get you by for a year. The other things you're gonna need, maybe, we're not gonna use it on the new reels, but if you're cleaning reels, Ardent Reel Clean. So this is awesome. This has lasted me 3 years, and I've still probably got 3 years left in there. This is Cal's Universal Reel and Star Drag Grease. So that's the grease we're using. And then you can use what I have, and it's not in its original bottle anymore, but there's a little bit of it. That is REM gun oil. Okay. There's also this. I have I replaced a couple bearings with ceramic bearings, and this ceramic high-speed spool oil is also an option. So that's what we're going to use. I've got a toothbrush to clean some dirty stuff, but I'm not really going to get into that stuff on this one. we're just gonna take apart the new ones. This is probably just going to be the new ones I'm going to videotape. This one that one's bugging me. So we're going to take apart the new ones and show you what I do with a brand new out of the box DAIWA reel. You would think that it should be good to go, and it is, but it will be better if you lube it up a little. So that's what we're doing here. I'm going to try and get you a good view of what's going on. I like to use a off color, like color different than anything that you're going to use. So that sometimes I use blue. Right now we're going to use a red towel or paper towel or something. For one, when the parts bounce, if they hit this hard table, they're going to go flying a million miles. If it hits the towel, it will stay in the same place. There's one thing I am missing that all of these DAIWAs have, and most reels I've cleaned, including Abu's, Lu's, and Shimano's. We need a 10 millimeter socket. So I'll be back. I forgot that. So 10 millimeter socket. Millimeter socket. Okay, so we can start. And ultimately what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay these out in reverse order that I take them. You'll find your own way. You can take a picture. That's an option. Take a picture of what you're taking apart. Or like I suggested, kind of just put things side by side as they come off, so, and then work in reverse when you go to put them back on. So there's that. There's that. Underneath this handle is going to be there's a washer under there. You can't see it, but it's in there. Oh, actually there it is. That one's silver. I leave that stuck right there. That's not a big deal. Sometimes the washer's in here. Underneath the star drag is a spring. So we're going to put the spring there. This is the star drag, the drag nut, which will only go tight so far because it is your drag. On the bottom of that, if you can see that, there is a washer. I like to lay them the same way they come off. So how I remember that, like this, I'm going to lay that so that the top side is up on there. So just like it comes off. This has a bunch of different washers. I'll show you in another video, but I'm going to take that whole thing off just like that. Once you get to there, you got to take this off, your spool tension, which also has, this one doesn't. There's nothing underneath there, but that is part of what needs to be greased. You can tell there's one little dab of grease on there, and it's not in the right spot necessarily. Okay, so once you've got that far, we're going to change out to a bigger screwdriver. This DAIWA, it's got the Mag Force braking system. So we're going to take this side off. And so I'm going to separate these. Okay, that's on there. I'm going to separate these sides. Put that there. Put the spool there. And ultimately you're down to your frame on both sides. We're going to get into more detail and get all this off, but right now there's 3 screws. I suggest you always go the same direction. So I always start left to right if I'm looking at it. So, and then I lay those screws, because these are different size screws sometimes, depending on the reel you're doing. Left to right, or start at noon, or start on the back side. Sometimes there's one back here. Whatever makes sense in your head. But I go from left to right. There's one. Two. And if you look at these, they've got a little thread locker on them. I don't do that, but you can see on the end of that screw there's a little thread locker there. Maybe you can see that, I don't know. But 1, 2, 3 in that order. Now the next and final thing here, kind of for what we're doing today, is we're just gonna, there's a washer on here still, and there's a sleeve on the handle spring here. So we are not trying to mess with any of that. We're gonna try and leave all that right where it is. The washer is gonna come off actually, but oh, is there another one? No. Okay. So, making sure that that sleeve, which you can maybe see in there, and that washer stay where they are. I'm just going to set that down. Now, if you can see in here, there is a little bit of grease going on, but for the most part, there's springs on here. You don't want to move this around too much. We'll get into all that later. But for now, everything's assembled correctly. We're going to take our Cal's grease here. We're going to take our little paintbrush and we're going to paint on the threads here. Just a little grease. I'm no Bob Ross, but we don't need to grease everything in there. Just that big gold wheel, ultimately. If you get a little grease on there elsewhere, that's fine, but my goal is just the teeth of that gold wheel. Okay? And you can spin it around and you can already kind of feel it's not all together, but it's smooth. That is literally all I'm going to do on that. And that will be good for a year. I'm gonna do one more thing at the end, but ultimately on the inside, that is pretty much all we're doing. Okay? So I'm gonna put this back on. And you can see that sleeve came up. There is a slot that needs to sit flush, and then this needs to go back on there. I don't think it's in there right. So if you get that where it doesn't go in there correctly, where you don't feel like it's all the way down, pull it back off. Maybe. What the heck? Okay. Pull it back off. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull it right out. There's the bearing. And then there's this. There's the washer in between. What I'm trying to get, I haven't even got to yet. This sleeve. This is what we're looking for. Okay, so that sleeve has two little grooves on it that need to go right there. Then we can put, we can put that washer on after. This is another spot you can add a little grease. I'm going to because I've got it off. It is, normally it's not something I do with the new reel. I do it when I take it all apart. Or a squirt of oil in there is even better. But light dusting there, I get some grease. Put this down on there. Now we know that that sleeve's where it needs to be. Put that back on there. This is where this might come in handy. Put that down in there. Put our bearing down in here. There we go. And then put our washer back on there. So then we're going to go right to left now, backwards, and put these screws back in. Right, top, and left. And I think all the DAIWA Tatulas, they're all a little different. There's so many different Tatula types, but I think they all have three screws on the external faceplate there. So now we've got those three screws back in there. We don't got to worry about anything falling out. Now I'm going to take what I've got is I manufactured a little needle here for oil. Because this dropper is huge. I've come to make this work, but I'm going to take up a little oil. I'm going to draw it up. No, I'm not, because that didn't work. That still didn't work. I'm going to have to combine. I've got two little droppers like this. It's apparently time to combine them. Into one. All right. So the REM oil, there. And you don't need to get a lot in there. This is manufactured, like I said. What we're going to do is we're going to put a drop of oil on this bearing. Just one drop. Which I missed the bearing. But there. And one drop on this bearing. Which I should have left that washer off. But it will work its way in there. One drop on this bearing. Right there. Put the washer back on. And that is it for that. Okay. So we're not putting that on yet. This can go on. Be careful when you if you tighten this too tight, this knob is your spool tension. So once you put your spool in there, the tighter that is, the harder it's going to be to close the other thing. Or close the other end. So we're going to put this all back on there just like it was. Then it was this. Put that side down. Then it was this. And this is backwards. You're going to go left for tight. That's how these are designed. You're going to go left. And at some point, you're going to start turning the handle like that. And you're going to have to hold it. Okay, and then you're going to finger tighten that down to wherever. Okay. And on goes that. Then on goes this. You can see there's a square in there. That square fits on that square nut. Like so. And you can put your handle with the washer still attached to the bottom. I messed up the washer. So it fell off, so we're putting that back on, putting that back on. And we're putting this on. These are very easy to cross thread. So I caution you on that. If it feels like it's crooked, don't keep going if there's any tension. It should go on there very easily, but they're very simple to cross thread. Okay, it's because it threads on there backwards too. I didn't realize this one threaded on backwards, but it does. So it's the wrong way. I was trying to put it on the wrong way. And we're going to tighten that up. What you need when you tighten that up is you need a flat end perpendicular to that hole, because this cap goes on there and that hole's got to line up. And that cap keeps it from unscrewing while you're winding. So talking too much. Okay, so the only other thing that I ever do with a new one, there's two lines of thought on this. The worm gear, which is right here, you can either put a drop of oil or you can put the grease. The grease, I feel, tends to catch grass. We're constantly in grass. And that sounds weird, but that's because that's not where it needs to be. So we're going to put a drop of oil on the worm gear because that's my preference. Some guys prefer the grease. I'm going to put a drop of oil on this. Maybe. There we go. Drop of oil on that. And drop it back down in there. And then a drop of oil on this bearing here. And So that bearing, which will, actually we're going to put one little tiny drop right on the end of that. So then we're going to screw that back on. And that reel is ready to go. So ultimately, what, 5 drops of oil, 6 drops of oil, one on each bearing, one on the worm gear, and then some grease on the main, I guess it's the, I don't know what all the parts are in there, the big gear in there. And that one's good to go. So that's a new one. I'm going to do this same exact thing with this. It's a bigger reel. It's still got the mag force drag. It's still, actually this one's in different spots. So the, see how I said some of the screws are on the inside? So this one's got screws on the inside, nothing on the outside. But we're going to do ultimately the same thing with this. We're going to grease the big gear. We're going to oil the worm gear, oil the 3 or 4 bearings in there that we can see readily, and a drop here and there on the spool. And this one will be ready to go. This one you can, it's a feel thing. Like, this feels cumbersome to reel right now, and it shouldn't. It should be smooth. So, but what we're gonna do the same thing. That's good enough for the end of the video. I'm gonna take this one apart and see why it sounds like it does. It sounds horrible. This is one of my favorite reels, and I use it a lot. This is my jig reel, SVTW 103. So we're gonna take this apart and see if we can get this running smooth. So if you want to stick around and watch it, cool. If not, that's the end of the video. Subscribe, please. We're only at 60 subscribers. We've been at this for a minute. We're going to keep content coming your way, but only if it's worthwhile for both of us. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you have a kindness in your heart, or you got any benefit, share this out to a friend or somebody that might need it. Have them subscribe, comment. All that stuff helps the algorithm. All that stuff gets our name out there. Ultimately, we're going to keep going, but it's getting a little disheartening. We're not growing quite as fast as we thought we would. Everybody says it's a harder process than you think. So if you got it in your heart, subscribe. If you've got absolutely zero benefit out of it, I understand. I'm sorry I wasted your time. But and if you're bored, stick around and watch me clean this one and see if I can get this one to a good operational place. And you can see I'm going to do the same thing. Take it off in reverse. I'm not going to talk through this whole thing though. Probably put some music over this. Actually, I'm going to turn some music on, so you're not going to be able to hear that because of copyright infringement. So we'll see you at the end. Thanks for watching. so much better. So much better. Beautiful. And this one, that one's good too. This one, this handle is bent, I believe. You can almost see it. You can, I think you can feel it. So I ordered a new handle. I think that's all that's wrong with this, is a bent handle. If not, there's something else bent in there. It's not, doesn't have anything to do with oil or grease, but stuck around this long. Thank you again for watching. Hopefully that helped you figure out your reels. New Daiwas, give them a little lube, give them a little love. Do that once a year, you're going to be in business. Those will last you a long time. So thanks for watching once again. Subscribe if you haven't.